Hello there, Matthew. How you doing? I is doing fine, thank you very much. Oh, that's actually quite bright. Let me alter this light, because that light seems to be pointing in the wrong direction. That's a bit better. Right then, we need to find a job, don't we? Because we need to crack on. And what have you been up to? Anything fun? That could be a possibility. I need to check the map. Actually, let's check the map now before we do anything. I've kind of done that run. That's going to be pointless. Oh, they'll all take me back in the same direction. Let's do that one. Ah, you getting yourself all prepared, are we? Is this going to be a Christmas thing or just a gift to yourself? We probably better top it with some fuel. Oh man, I keep forgetting. I've changed my brake. It feels so weird. I usually got it set up for like a normal car and trucking, but now I've got it set up for race, and it's like, oh my god. And what are the specs? What have you gone for? Anything fancy? At the end of the day, as long as it plays the games you want to play, doesn't really matter if it's, you know, a basic machine or a top-notch machine. As long as it does what you want, that's what counts. Well, that's all it has to do at the end of the day. Just got to be able to play your games. I take it comes with a monitor, or are you plugging it into a TV, or... That is so weird having a really stiff pedal in this truck. Oh, look out. He's got the TVs. Are you going for triple screens in here? Ah, going for 2. Well, you know, you can always add one at another time if you've got the room. So what are you going to do then? Are you going to play the desk, or you're planning to get yourself a rig at some point? They're all good, thank you. My son was driving me nuts with the new Fortnite update. He's got to have it. My God, Fortnite drives me potty. Ah, the Stream Deck's great. Definitely does the job, that's for sure. You know, so it's not just for streaming. Could use it as a fancy button box if I want to. Can even program it for keys for certain programs, you know, like if you're doing Photoshop editing or anything like that, or video. Program it in. Kind of like a hotkey. Yeah, it's not my favourite game. I can see the fascination, but it's like, yeah, it's just not something I'll ever touch, to be honest. I'll let him deal with that. Gotta go right the way back for this one. And we're in. Yeah, I don't blame him. I do the same thing. Oops, didn't want to do that. I got my son time limited, so this PS4 can't connect to the internet past certain times. That's him done. So it's only a short job, this one, in comparison. Ooh. I'm not looking where I'm going. I should be going through this. Right. Let's try and keep it together, shall we? Trying to make it look all fancy by going an outside view for the first couple of corners. This is where I usually crash into something. My brake lights. I think I might need to do a calibration on my brake pedal since I've adjusted it. You see the brake pedal's trying to come on. That's interesting. Glad I did a rear view then. Right then, let's crack on with this. 84 miles to go, so it's a nice easy one. Let's have a look at the old. Yeah, it's I've adjusted the brake pedal for more for racing than for just general driving, which basically means that I've stiffened it up a hell of a lot. It probably just needs the Fanatec software just being realigned, which I know I haven't done because I've forgotten all about that part until now. Certainly because every game I have tried since I adjusted it has played perfectly fine. This is the first one that shows a slight flicker. It's only registering the pedal being pressed ever so slightly, even though my foot's not even on the pedal. So once I do a full calibration on it, it should be okay. It's not slowing me down here, so we'll do it later, to be honest. Keep forgetting that you can see the handbrake in this shot now. The handbrake, the gear shifter. Handbrake's there. Well, this is a handbrake, and that's the shifter that I use. That's the skrs shifter. Just goes out of shot when I put it back. And that's my power charger. I don't know why it's there. I think it was when I was just working on the camera earlier. I put it on briefly. Just put that somewhere on the way over there. The handbrake is used mainly for rally games. It does work in some racing games, but you more than likely don't want to be pulling a handbrake if you're trying to be racing. But for rally games, it's obviously good to do the handbrake turns and what have you around tight corners. Could be used for drifting as well if you wanted to, if you want to initiate a drift. Use it really in. Well, I've used it in Forza, use it in Assetto Corsa when drifting, use it in most rally games. So it has its uses. So dirt rally especially. And do I have a rig? Yes, it's a custom built AT20 rig. Similar in design to a P1, but the main bars in a P1 I'm using a slightly smaller profile, but I've customized mine as well because I can pull these in from the side. Well, hold on, let me put that back because I can't pull that one in, and then I can convert to full flight if I want to. Somehow I've managed to turn my indicator on. That's marvellous. Let's put that back. Push that one out. Hazards off. So yeah, this rig I pretty much custom designed it myself with all the parts, including the flight brackets. Built it myself, so designed, sent off for cutting, and then had it all shipped over and built it. So whereas, you know, if you were to buy a P1 online, you're probably looking, what, 750 quid. It's probably cost me about 450 all in. Obviously not including the seat, but that's the same on a P1, you wouldn't include the seat. So that'd be an additional charge, so to speak. Yeah, I know, Mark. It's similar to what Mark's got, but as I say, mine's all custom made. He bought, well, he got his off the shelf from SimLabs. So it's a similar, you know, the same materials used. But I just went the custom route and built my own, to be honest. Saves you some money. And it's, you know, it's not rocket science. It's all nuts and bolts at the end of the day. And you take care. Ow. Is there a garage? There's fuel down there. Looks like there's a garage further down. Yeah. Right, let's get this job dropped off, and we'll find another one. See what we got here, shall we? Not a lot. Don't think I've been there. But I've been there. Look at that one. I could do that U10 one, or whatever it's pronounced. Let's have a look at that one. We want to go here. But I know I want to go to the garage first. Okay, gotta go back and pick it up. Right. We are in. So we're going to go up to the garage, buy the garage first, and then we make a move to the next stop. And I bet you any money I should have been on that road I was already on. We'll see. We'll have to go around the block on this one. Let's see if we can get out. Right, where are we? Over here. We need that to add to the overall collection. Hold on, this one goes back a bit first. Okay. Hello there, Ashton. How you doing? Thanks very much for that. I've been trying to find a way where I can mount it where it's lower down more with my line of sight for a long time, but it's just trying to find the tools to do the job, and I think I managed to rig something together that seems to work. Gives a much better view of what's going on around here anyway. And thanks for the feedback, it's always appreciated. And here come the gutters. Sneak past these. Ugh, that's a bit tight. Everything I use is in the description, but we use a direct drive wheel. The pedals are the Fanatec V3 inverted, and the shifter is an SHH shifter with an skrs truck shifter mounted to it. Most of the time I leave that on, even if I race road cars or rally. It does quite a good job actually. But if you really want to for full immersion, you can just pop it off and swap it off. Swap it with a normal shifter knob basically. A Logitech a G27. Yeah, I've used many years ago. It's a very old wheel, similar to a G29 to be honest. I guess it comes down to price and what price you're picking it up for. Any Logitech series wheel is going to be a good entry-level wheel. So a G27, G29, G920 I think it's called. They're all going to give you force feedback. It's a good way of getting into force feedback wheels, to be honest. What kind of price have you seen that for? Because it is an older wheel. And is it the full kit? So do you get the wheel, the pedals and the shifter as well? Because when it was first sold, it was sold as a complete kit. At 50 quid, you know, you can't go wrong. You know, if you were picking up a G29 new, you're probably looking at 200 at the moment, maybe as cheap as 150. So, you know, it's 3 times the cost when you think about it. I check how old it is. You know, was it an early one or was it a very late one? Check the condition of it. I mean, if it seems really worn, then I would be like, I don't know, because it uses potentiometers for the accelerator, the brake, and the clutch. Oh god, I think we're going to stop then. So they'll wear over time. But again, even for 50 quid, you could probably pick up spare pedals on the cheap as well. I mean, that doesn't seem like a bad price, to be honest, considering, you know, you'll get pretty much everything to get you going. What's this guy doing? No, it says stop, but come on. And the sunrise is kicking in. Yeah, it's not brilliant, but you can do a shifter mod to it. Probably cost you about, what, 10-15 quid? And that will certainly improve the shifter no end. But then again, don't expect, you know, a night and day difference between that and the G27 shifter. In essence, really, they're the same mechanism, just reboxed and repackaged. But what I do like about the Logitech pedals and shifter is you can mod them, and you do get an improvement by doing so. So over time, for instance, for the pedals, you can buy better springs. You can mod the brake, the accelerator, even the clutch, make them stiffer, make them more progressive if you want to do that. And the same with the shifter. You can mod the shifter to do sequential or improve the feel for the H pattern, which is good, because it gives you a way of improving the situation if you want, without spending a fortune. I mean, what lets the G29 shifter down is just there's just no feedback from it. There's no feel to it. It's just you push it into gear and it falls into gear. There's no resistance, and that's what lets it down. Otherwise, it does the job. Yeah, I mean, if that's exactly it. You're on a budget and you've got to work within your price range. I wouldn't go for a wheel that doesn't have force feedback, because once you've had a force feedback wheel, you wouldn't want to go back, that's for sure. So I would certainly recommend a G27 as a starter wheel, and then for yourself, then, if you planned on upgrading at a later date, either go for, again, budget wise, it would be something like a Thrustmaster Dent Tier T300, and failing that, if you can skip that, then it would be jump straight into the Fanatec series. Or Fanatec, or Fanatic, or whichever way you want to pronounce it. I was going to think about going around this guy, but I can see a truck in the distance. And there they go. little bit of lean on there, so it's looking a bit wide. Oh, that's fine. At the end of the day, we all got to start somewhere. You know, at least if you buy the wheel now, you can at least use it to play the game to begin with. And then when you do upgrade the PC, you can just take that wheel with you and plug it into whatever upgrades you do later down the line. There's no right way or wrong way of doing it. You just do what you would rather. I mean, you know, the game is better using a wheel, if you ask me. Just depends what's going to be more attainable for you first. It's probably going to be cheaper and easier to pick up a wheel first and then save long and hard to get the best PC you can. I mean, yes, okay, I've got all this gear, and it's great to be saying that when I've got all this gear, but this stuff didn't appear overnight. You know, it's bits and bobs that I've built up over time. I wish I could afford to splash out in one go and get the whole lot. It'd be a lot easier, that's for sure. But yeah, you know, like yourself, I started off on a G27, then I went to a G29 later on, then I added, what did I do? When I got rid of the G29, I went to a TSPC Racer, and then I was going to make the shift to the Fanatec gear, but then I was lucky enough to be in the position to go, you know what, I'll just go straight for direct drive. Let's just tidy this up, shall we? I'd save yourself a bit of money and I wouldn't bother with the water cooling. You know, okay, if you say water cooling and you mean an AIO, then okay, fair enough. But if you wanted to save yourself a little bit of money, go for a good quality air cooler. It'll probably do just as well, and it'll save you a bit of money. And that money you could either put into more RAM, that money you could put maybe into a better CPU. Personally, I wouldn't probably go for an i3. I would probably go for an i5. However, at that kind of level, have you considered AMD? The AMD chips at the moment are very good bang for your money. Let's see. Okay, we ain't got much around here then, have we? I went to the dodgy side. Oh, I don't know if I want to go there. Well, if you went AMD, anything from, I think they do a 1600 CPU. They do I don't know the prices. That's the problem. So off the top of my head, I'm just quoting you CPUs, and I don't know the price. But the new stuff, basically, the Ryzen chips is what you want to be looking at, because they'll do 4-core, 8-core chips as well. But you tend to find they're a lot cheaper. Let's have a look. You know, so you probably will find that a Ryzen chip, you could probably get a better chip, so that would help push the 1060 along. The other way of looking at it is okay, go for the i3, but go for a 1070, but that would be quite a jump up in price. If it was me, I would say go for air cooling, save yourself a bit of money, and pump the money into the CPU. 8 gig of RAM is going to be fine for playing a game. You know, yes, you know, if 16 gig is going to be lovely, but to be honest, 8 gig is perfectly fine. I could stream with an 8 gig PC. Well, yeah, you're comparing a new chip to, you know, a previous chip. You know, what you want to do is see what the Ryzen chip is that compares to an i3 or an i5 from the 8000 series chips. I couldn't tell you which one, but there's plenty of reviews online that will compare them for you and let you know which one's going to give you the best. And really, at that kind of level, it doesn't have to be all-out frames. You know, if the Ryzen chip works out to be a couple of frames less per second, but if it's got more cores, it's going to last you longer. Do I want to go down or do I want to go... Oh, well, there's Oslo. I need to go over back that way, I think. Nah. To be honest, as long as you do your homework and you read up about your CPUs and the boards, because you'll get bad boards with Intel. When I was buying the 8700K that I've got now, there were boards that were poor performers for the chip. So I did a bit of homework, found out that if I was better off spending an extra 50 quid over where I was aiming at to get the board that I've got now to give me a chip that gives me good performance. So it swings and roundabouts. You know, don't think because you're buying Intel you're not going to have those problems, because you can easily hit the same problems with Intel as well. Sometimes worse. None of them are perfect, unfortunately. But we'll go. Rough terrain. So we've got to go with no cargo, pick up, which is what, 20 minutes away? Won't be too long. Yep, I'm gonna get lots of speeding tickets because, yeah, I don't really care. I've got enough money, it's not a problem. Where is the... Oh yeah, it's by there. We're going into a BLT zone. Okay. So we've got to pick up the job. We're going to go to Oslo on this one. Because we're running out of destinations, because we're pretty much filling up the new DLC area. That'll do. That will leave me with an easy out then. Was cut in the corner, that was close. Right, so 779 miles to go, 1064 litres on board, 24 hours and 2 minutes. But we got 46 hours in total to do this job, so I can see us sleeping at some point. Yeah, that's a good processor. I think they do different revisions though. They do like a 2600 and they do a 2600X or something. So what you want to do, if that's a CPU at the price you're thinking of, because what you'll tend to find is with the Ryzen series, the CPU can work out slightly cheaper, the motherboards tend to be cheaper, so all in all you're saving bits of money there. Which means that will free up some cash. So if you went for a Ryzen CPU with a Ryzen motherboard to go with it, you could either invest more and go for more RAM, or depending on how much you save, you could save and put the money into the graphics card side of things. You know, a Ryzen system for entry-level gaming will give you a very good gaming system. Yeah. What about if you went... What's the next CPU down then? How does that perform next to the i3? And how much do you save if you went for the lesser CPU? Devo, how you doing? Good to see you again. Get the old cruise control going, I can relax until the next corner, which is just by there. good to see I've given Ashton some homework. He's gone off researching CPUs. Well, there we are. So you know then that really you're either looking at the i3 or you're looking at the 2600. Now, the 2600, does that come with the CPU cooler in the box? Because if it does, you could run that CPU cooler for now and upgrade at a later date and put the money into something else. And what you want to do as well now is have a look at the motherboards and see if you're going to be saving anything there. The fact that for £10 more you're going to get better performance is probably worth it. Now I know with some Ryzen chips you will get a CPU cooler, and it'll do the job to begin with. You can always upgrade the CPU cooler at a later date, but I can't remember if that's one of the series that'll have a cooler with it. Why does he stop it there? Oh, don't matter, I'm not going in that direction anyway. Nightbot is about. There we are. So that'll save you going for a cooler. So let's say you would have spent £80 to £100 on a cooler. That's £80 to £100 you could spend on something else. That's me not knowing what a cheap water cooler is these days, because the last when I bought AIO coolers, they were £100 plus. But to be honest, for a shifter, you could go for any shifter you like. As long as the shifter has a USB connection on it, you don't have to go through the G27 itself. So you either go for, your choices are, you either get an original G27 shifter, plug it into your wheelbase, and that connects to the PC. You could get a G29 shifter and do a conversion kit and get it converted to USB, or I don't know whether it'll work through a G27 base. You'd have to do a bit of research. The other option then is going outside Logitech. Maybe look at a Thrustmaster shifter. Or you could look at the shifter that I've got, which is the SHH shifter. But, you know, you're jumping up in price then, you're talking around the £100 mark. But again, if you don't mind spending the money, then I would forget Logitech and I would look at Thrustmaster or the SHH. That's a little bit of a saving, but then there are different motherboards. Which motherboard are you looking at? You don't stick with one manufacturer for motherboard. You know, you'll have motherboards from Gigabyte, you'll have motherboards from Asus, you know. There'll be plenty of manufacturers out there all bidding for you, so, and they'll all have different pricing as well, starting from a budget range to the high-end range. Yeah, they do some good boards, and again, put the motherboard name and model number into Google, type in review on the end, and see if people give it a good write-up. The problem is there's so many, you know, you may find that there's a good 10 to 20 boards to choose from. You know, you may find that one of them is a bit of a dog and you don't want to touch. Others, you're better off, you know, jumping straight to, so spending the extra is always worthy. But anything that you're thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind something like that, just do a Google search, type in review, and see if you get a good result. The one good thing about PC parts is there's loads of people out there who review PC parts. So just read up as much as you can, and you'll know probably within the first 2 or 3 reviews that you read whether it's something you're actually interested in going for, whether you're thinking, nope, that's one to avoid. Nice scenery this way. Taking in the view. I would probably aim higher personally. I don't think it would be if you went to something like a TMX. Isn't the TMX something like 150 quid or something? I can't remember the price on a TMX now. Thrustmaster got so many different wheels, I keep forgetting which price goes with which wheel. If I was going for a Thrustmaster and I wanted something better than a G27 or a G29 even, I would probably say the minimum I would go to would be something like, ooh, hold on, gotta turn off here, would be something like a T300, but you're spending, what, probably a good 280 quid on that. All depends on the budget in mind and what your expectations are. You know, if you want something that gives you a night and day difference in performance, you're gonna have to spend your money. If you're lucky, try somewhere like, I don't know, overclockers.co.uk, see if they've got the motherboard available. Sometimes you'll get people who will put reviews because they've bought the product. Do the same on Amazon, do the same with ebuyer.co.uk. You know, anybody who sells, you know, a big site that sells PC hardware will usually have a review section as well, for people who have actually bought and left feedback, so you can always have a look there as well. But ideally, a website that does a review, or type in forum, put the model number and put forum on the end and see if people are talking about it in a forum, maybe because they're having a problem, or maybe because they just want to give feedback to say it's a great board, you know. Hold on, brake. There's me starting to relax and forgot where I was. not quite sure myself on that one. I'd have to read it. You can always copy and paste that line into Google and see what it says in relation to that motherboard. So again, put the motherboard in, copy and paste that line in. As far as I'm aware, I don't think that series would have onboard graphics. I'd be surprised. There's a lot of trees run this way. Oh, well, gotta slow down for this one. Oh, I don't have to indicate for that though. What am I doing? Could have been a bad choice. We're not going to make that one. Sorry. Oof. Let's check I can go, shall we? Oh well, messed that one up. That was a bit of an unfortunate timing. Our CR2 battery, all motherboards usually have, well, not all these days, but motherboards would have a battery on there for the clock time and what have you. Now, usually the motherboards would come fitted with the battery. It's very rare that it actually says you need to buy a battery. Must admit, I've never bought that manufacturer of motherboard. Have a look at Gigabyte, see what they do. How much more expensive are they? We could look at MSI motherboards, Gigabyte motherboard. Not quite sure who else makes motherboards for AMD, to be honest, or Ryzen these days. But what you could do is do a Google search for Ryzen 2600 best budget motherboard and see what pops up. See if anybody's recommending particular motherboards to go with that chipset. Again, I've never purchased a Ryzen. I came that close to getting Ryzen one day, but I was looking at Threadripper, so it's a slightly different beast to say the least. I mean, the last time I had an AMD system was back in the Athlon days. And they were the chips to have back then. I mean, that was years and years ago. Oh, you... I knew it was coming down, but boy, I didn't think it was going to come down that quick. Oh well. At least I didn't hit the train. I think my engine is deaded. Oh no, it started. That's a miracle. Let's have a look at this mess. Even the train stopped. That's not a good start, is it? 41% on the cab. Oh, that's gonna hurt in the morning. Oh well, it keeps on trucking. That's the main thing. You can hear the engine though. A little bit rougher on the edges now. Yeah, and I've lost my 14th gear. Well, I can live with that. 13th is good for cruising anyway. Drive right past the repair centre, so I think what I'll do, I'll stop in there now on the way, hatch up the old truck. That's got to cost me a couple of grand now. Where is it? Do we have to go past here, or? Ah, there it is. Service, oh, 74,000. That's alright. Haven't had a big repair like that in a long while. There we are. The Gigabyte hopefully is a better series board for you. The only thing that springs to mind that I would certainly recommend Salvatore, how you doing? With the Ryzen chip, the Ryzen chip is better with higher quality RAM, so stick with 8 gig RAM by all means, but go for the fastest RAM you can afford. So if you've been looking at, I can't even remember the RAM timings these days, what, 2100 speed RAM, if you can afford 3200 speed, than go for 32 if you can go for 3000. Yeah, 3000 speed. The faster the RAM, the better for the Ryzen chips, because they perform way better with faster RAM. I mean, to be honest, most chips will, but for some reason... Oh, look at that. I've not seen that before. We've got a bridge and a ship passing by. That's cool. I've not actually seen that before. That's my first bridge that rises. Well, well, well. Yeah. That's really cool. I've not seen that before. I don't know where we are. Actually, where are we? Let's have a look at the map so everybody can see. Yeah, that's part of the Baltic, that is, just as you're leaving to go across to the other side. Well, well, well. You learn something new every day. I wonder if you can park on top of that whilst it's opening. Fall into the sea. Wonder what the game does if you manage to get yourself wedged on there or waited until it opened. Or would it not do anything and just wait for you to drive off? No, but what if you arrived, whilst it's allowing you to drive on, you parked on top of it? I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to park my truck on a train track, see what happens. Ashton, what cooler were you thinking of buying and how much was it? Or did the i3 come with its own cooler? I must admit, I don't know what the i3 series is with Intel and what it comes with. I know most of the chips they do these days are CPU only and coolers extra. But I think you mentioned water cooling, so water cooling tends to be expensive, so I'm guessing you could be saving yourself a good £100 there. So this should be one of the new shipping yards. Dock areas that we drive on should be nice and detailed. How much is your location and where can you... I'm not quite sure what you mean by that one. As for my location, well, I'm based in the UK. I'm not quite sure what you mean with regards to buying something, though. Well, it's 45 quid, so it's an AIO cooler you were looking at. It's still, you know, 45, 50 quid saved. What case were you going to put it in, do you know? Busy, busy, busy. So what's the time now? It's 23, so find an area where I can stop in game and sleep, and then we carry on then, because we've still got 31 hours to kill for this job. We've got loads of time to get there. I think we can go in here. However, I'm starting to think maybe I should have just carried on going straight and done the one at the petrol station, because this... Ooh, hold on, looks like they may have truck stop at the back. Let's have a sleep. Ah, well, if you've already got the case, then you don't have to factor that in, that's fine. I was going to say, if you hadn't bought a case, just cut corners on the case I would and go for a basic case and invest on the components on the inside. But you've got that, so you don't have to worry about that now. Oh. At the end of the day, if you do this, you'll have an AMD and an Intel system to choose from. So it's keeping your options open. But I think if you can do the AMD system, you know, the Ryzen system I should say, and it's going to be a similar cost to the i3 system you were looking at, then you're probably better off. So with the 8 gig stick of RAM you were looking at, what was the model and the speed rating of the RAM? So with that 50, say 45, 50 quid that you've saved already, what's the next speed up? So really we need to know what RAM you were looking at, what speed rating it was. Because ideally with a Ryzen system I would go for 3000 megahertz rated RAM. Or higher. 3 or 3.2 personally. Voice headset. Still not used to it. Salvatore, where are you from? Down there. Ah, Germany. Well, welcome. Okay, can't see. Let's put it back. I got 14 gears again. I went and repaired my truck, didn't I? So we've got 6 hours, 37 minutes, 258 miles to go, 744 litres on board, so that's all good. We won't need to stop. We can just carry on cruising. Got a bit of a lake by here. I wonder if we can get a bit of a view off that one if we go high. So what RAM did you have priced up before? I know you said 8 gig, but what make was it and what speed rating, if you can put the specs in? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you know, any DDR RAM stick, you know, as long as it's compatible with the motherboard, it'll be compatible with the chip at the end of the day. You just want to try and maximize the speed of the RAM. I'm assuming for that price it may be 2400 RAM. I'm guessing now. Oh, Mr. Biker. Oh, he's not moving, is he? He decided to stop. Yeah, Vengeance is good. And where were you buying the RAM from? One of the cheapest places for RAM at the moment is actually Amazon. I've been keeping an eye on the RAM on Amazon. Tend to be cheaper than some of the other places. The good news is, at least with RAM prices, it's supposed to be going down even further into January. So if you're planning on buying at a later date, hopefully the price will drop down a little bit further for you as well. Which is another good thing to remember, because if you're planning on buying, saying in another month, 2 months, the prices may drop again. And if you can buy in, say, something like a January sale, you may end up having even a little extra knocked off. So as much as it might be worth buying this side of Christmas, if there's no sale on, maybe worth waiting for the January sales. Who knows? It's hard to tell with PC stuff, because sometimes they do pricing and good deals, and other times they don't seem to do anything. I know that 16 gig RAM Corsair Vengeance 3200, last time I looked, was 143. Yeah, don't. What I would do if I were you, I would go for the 8 gig stick, but go for the faster megahertz. So look at 8 gig, but look at, say, 3000. Or maybe the 3200 speed RAM. I know that the 16 gig 3200, last time I looked, was about 140, 150 quid. Oh, that's the wrong gear. Oh man, I really put it in the wrong gear, didn't I? How much is 16 gig? Where are you getting those prices from, can I ask? Amazon, okay. So you should be getting relatively good pricing. Well, compare that then to the 16 gig 3000, and what's the difference in price? Because I'm sure that the Ryzen CPU will perform better with RAM that's over 3000 at least. I know if I was going for a Ryzen system, it would probably be minimum 3000. What's the 2 times 8 at 3000? So you've got yourself an entry level there. You go for 2 times 4, so 8 gig, 3000 RAM, you know, for 90 quid. So that's your entry level point. And then compare that then to 16 gig, 3000, which I'm guessing is going to be maybe 120, 130. And then it's just a matter of saying to yourself, well, am I happy going with 8 gig? 8 gig is the absolute minimum you can go for, and your games will play okay. But if you want to allow it so your system grows, then I would probably get 16 gig. Then it comes out of price. 260? Where are you looking? No way. The 3000 RAM. And that's Corsair Vengeance RAM, yeah? Two times 8 gig. Can you put a link in? Yeah, hold on a second. Are you... I should have asked the question before. Are you UK based or are you abroad? I mean, you've put it in pounds, so I'm assuming you're UK based. Yeah. Put it in. Go on. I've just got someone who's going to put a link in. If it works. Click that. So if you click on that link, that should give you the RAM for 123. So unless you were looking at the wrong part for the price, or you clicked on an old link maybe. Maybe it was a third-party seller, because some of the third-party sellers sell through the nose. So if you can afford the difference between what you had, which was what? 105, was it? That gets you 3000 RAM, 16 gig at 124, whatever it is. But the price difference, that's the minimum I would go for. Don't know if it'll let you. Give it a go. It may not let you. I can't remember if I changed that option, to be honest. Job. Way longer than I thought it was going to take. Completely boxed in. Come on. he's got to slow down. Sucker. No problem. Take your time, it's all good. Oh wow. A nice little road section. This, I'm enjoying this one. Well, I should have remembered I'm carrying a rather heavy load. Who knows? Oi, what's he slowing down for? Anything coming? Ah, he's gonna go for it now, and I'm not gonna make that. Oh. Seriously, he decides to put the anchors on. I'm gonna have one of those days today. What's the damage? Ah, I got away with it. See if we can get past this guy at last. Oh, he just headbutted the camera. That was good. It's got a bit of lean on it. Let's slow it down a little. And we're back in Oslo. I haven't been here for a while. Yeah, sounds good enough to me. Wait, is the motherboard the gigabyte one? If you're going to go for an SSD, always go for the biggest you can afford. Yes, a 120 gig will work to do Windows. You can get Windows on a 60, but you'll have next to no room left on there for anything else. So personally, if you can afford to go for a 240, I would go for a 240 SSD minimum. Even 120 gig is going to cut it a bit slim. So by the time you've got Windows installed and a few other apps installed on the main drive, it's going to fill up relatively quick. So yes, I know you can save a little bit of money by going for, you know, a slightly smaller SSD. The prices on SSDs are dropping all the time. So if you're lucky enough, there'll be a sale on when you buy and you can get, you know, a drive in the sale. I mean, recently they were doing prices on all of them. I mean, even the 1 terabyte was down to nearly 115 quid, which I was that close to buying another one. But I thought, nah, better not. I don't really need it. Right, is there any way from here we can head back? Ooh, there is. But I've been to Helsinki. I know I've been there and I don't want to go back there because that's where we came from. That might just be the one then. You'd be surprised though. That's the thing. Storage. How to say this? There are times when you will, or you may want to, install a program on an SSD because it does perform better off an SSD. If you're absolutely certain you'll get away with 120, fine. But personally, I would always recommend a 240. It's your call at the end of the day. I mean, I've done Windows on a 60 gig before. That leaves you with nothing. So yeah, I would say 60 gig is out the window. 120 minimum. Preferably a 240 SSD. Oh, we're not going here. We're going further on. It's your call at the end of the day. I mean, you know, 120 gig will work. You'll get Windows on there and you'll have a little bit of room left over. With a 240, you will have Windows installed and you'll have room to put more on there if you need it. I mean, what I would do is, when it all depends when you're planning on buying. You know, if you're planning on buying in a couple of weeks, just keep looking at the prices, and if the price is right and the 240 works to your budget, then get a 240. If ultimately it's out of your budget and you can't afford the extra, then if that's the place to save, then yeah, go for the 120 instead. You can always upgrade at a later date. You can always buy another SSD, you know, 6 months, a year down the line, and put a new one in. I mean, I've been lucky with SSDs. My first SSD was a 60 gig SSD. I've still got it to this day. It's still, and I use it as an external drive for quick transfers. It's plugged into a cheap USB caddy, and I just use it as an external USB 3 drive because it's really quick at copying. Still works to this day. Got no errors on it. Even if it broke tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed. I've had it so long, I've had my money's worth out of that drive. I've actually got a few. I think I've got another SSD somewhere tucked away in an external caddy. Don't know where it is though. You know what I would do? Save your money. Don't buy it in bits. Put the money, give the money to your parents to look after, whatever you need to do, save it. Don't buy in drips and drabs. The problem is, when you do that, you're going to be buying at the highest price. And the chances are between now and in 6 months' time, prices may drop. Now, if you're thinking, you know what, the price is going to go down, but it may go back up. Like RAM. RAM may come down in price in January. At least that's what they're talking about. If it happens, then I would say buy the RAM in January, because that's likely to be some of the cheapest RAM you'll get. And over the last 3 months, I've seen the prices of the RAM drop significantly. I mean, the 16 gig set that I'm running on this PC now, it's 16 gig Corsair LED RAM, 3200 rated RAM. That cost me £190 when I bought it. You can buy the same set now for about 140. And if that drops down any lower, I'll probably be tempted to pick up another set of RAM. So if I was in your shoes, I would save the money. When the time is right, certainly buy. But things like CPUs will only come down in price the older they get. You may even have, I know that AMD are looking at launching a new set of CPUs soon. Actually, I say soon, I'm not quite sure how soon it is. But if they do launch another set of CPUs, that chip you're looking at now is only going to come down in price. So for me, and for the parts you're looking to buy, I would say pocket the money and buy closer to the time, because you're more than likely going to have a bigger saving, or you may end up with better parts because you may find a newer CPU has been released for the same money, does a better performance. Now, 6 months is a big time in PC timescales. I can't even think of the word to use. You know, things can change so quick. So I understand your thought process behind it, but I would recommend saving until you've got the money, then purchase. The only one that I would really question is RAM, because RAM is volatile in pricing. You know, it could be down low 1 month, could shoot back up the next month. At the moment, it's dipped down to one of its lowest it has for a while, but there is the potential, from what the market is saying, to go down further in January. So I would certainly be looking at buying the RAM either now or in January, and maybe, you know, whether the market says that will change for February. Ashton, it's not a problem anytime. You got any questions, you're more than welcome to ask, no problem. Devor, it's any triple monitor set will work. The problem is scale will be off the smaller you go. That's the wrong gear one. Sorry, that's my mistake. Let's go there. Minimum monitor size I would choose these days, especially if it's a 1080p screen, would probably be a 24-inch. And with regards to having a triple screen setup like this, I personally would probably recommend 27s. But again, budget comes into play. If the pricing, you know, if you can get a good VA panel 27 inches for nearly the same price as a 24, I probably wouldn't go 21s. Yep, I've got a track hat, I've got the wireless one. I use it now and again with a triple monitor, so yeah, I'd recommend it. I had head tracking on a single monitor before as well. Yeah, absolutely recommend it. With things like this, it comes in handy if you're into your flight sims, definitely. If you're into your space sims, you know, Elite Dangerous, things like that, definitely works well. Wide on that one. That was my bad. So we've got 41 hours on this job. We've got 396 litres in the tank. 492 miles to go, but I think some of it is on a ferry, so this will probably balance out once we hit the ferry. What are we about? Yeah, it's going to be late in game soon, so we'll look at having another kip at some point. Whoa. He's lucky he managed to go first. I thought I would have been straight into the back of him. Well, that's just it. You've got to weigh up the odds, you know. Because with PCs you could spend thousands of pounds. But if you can afford to spend a little bit extra and you know that you are going to get a better performing PC for your money, for that little bit extra you're spending, then by all means, you know, go for it. But at the end of the day, if you're working to a budget, you've got to stick to your budget as well. So like you said, you know, if you think you're going to save yourself, you know, that 15 quid, or if you want to put that 15 quid by going for a lesser SSD and put it into something else, you know, you've got to play with the figures a bit. And who knows, in 6 months' time, you may find yourself with a little bit more cash than you thought. And then your whole look at it will change, because you're like, okay, maybe I will go for that SSD, or maybe I will go for that better RAM. So this is why I'm saying, don't get bits and bobs now, because if you buy bits and bobs now, you're stuck with those bits, and if things change 6 months down the line, you're either going to have to sell what you've bought, or you're going to have to stick with what you were planning originally. So for me, I would save the money until you've got what you need, and then re-look at the PC specs. Has the market changed? Is there anything better? Is the pricing better? You know, and if the pricing is better, then it's like, oh, you know, if I've saved myself 50 quid by waiting, can I put the 50 quid into something else? Seriously think I've got that on too high. Ah, this actually looks a bit better. A little bit darker. I thought it was. The light was on too high. And it's starting to rain. You got to start somehow when it comes to driving. Driving's so expensive now. Whoa, blimey. It's a good idea to put a little bit away if you can, especially when it comes to if you want to get driving lessons or get yourself a car later on. Insurance alone's frightening. Wouldn't like to be insuring a car at 17 years now. Oof. Yeah, it's like anything. Whenever you've got your heart set on something, it's always a pain, because if you're having to wait, you're just counting down the seconds, really. But look at it this way: the longer you wait, maybe the better the PC you end up with. You know, new products come out, new CPUs come out, new this, new that. Who knows, maybe in 6 months' time you'll have slightly better spec yet again for the same money, and boom. You'll be able to do more with that PC then. So we're getting to that time when we need to look for a rest stop. We still haven't done the in-game clock on my screen. I need to do that. I've got the time there, but not the actual clock. Just kind of frustrating. Try and sneak past at 53. Go, go, go. Try not to get a fine. Yeah, someone's not counting down at all, are they? Nah, trust me, I think you'd be better off waiting the time, save the money, and then purchase. It makes more sense, to be honest. You know, if you said to me, you know, I'll buy a PC, say, in a month and a half, then yeah, buy the bits and bobs over the time, job done. But 6 months in PC terms, a lot can happen, a lot can change. And Huawei always says you could buy a PC tomorrow off the shelf, and in 6 months' time it's old tech, you know, so do it that way. Oh, I don't see much point in going behind that one. That duster's fast and slow all the time. Let's get those wipers off. Some speed up again now. Ah! Got him to slow down. Drove him off the road. Yeah! Right, I'm supposed to be looking for a place to sleep. I keep forgetting. What are you on fuel-wise? 273 litres, 315 in the mileage. It's getting there. Scare them out of the way, that's the way to do it. Put the old cruise back on. I knew that was going to happen, but well, I knew I had the speed anyway. So we're going to be hitting a ferry shortly. And what we'll probably do, we'll travel across and then we'll sleep after, if we, depending on how long the ferry's going to take, that is. Oh. Oh, I need to find out where I'm going. We are going to one of those. Well, we don't need to sleep. We're back to daylight. That's always good. And we've got 2 hours remaining, 122 miles, 229 in the tank. We are good. No problem. Take care. Right then. Taken this turning. A bit of luck. Right, now we can just cruise to the end. So, what, 103 miles, just under 2 hours 30. And we got 208 in the tank, so I think we're good. I'm not going to bother stopping, we're going to go straight there. I imagine that should be in, what, another 20 minutes? The policeman is directly behind me. Check my phone. Hey, messages galore. That's what happens when you don't look at your phone. So coming down to the last hour. Mr. Policeman behind me yet again. I was thinking of going into that lane, but I'll stay here for now. If I can get around him. Okay, just down this road, and we are there. Gone loose. Yeah, he's tightening up. That's the next job. I keep saying that. I know that was loose before, but that's even worse. Never used to move that much before. Whoop. Whoa, that's too much. It's further down. Oh, I've messed that up. Oh, and we are in. Check out the map. Map hasn't got up too much today. 70.52% in total. I think really it's gonna have to be just doing small jobs, going around all these little roads. There are tons of little roads around here. But this is an area for you guys who are playing. Keep an eye out for here, because there's a nice bridge that has to, well, doesn't always, but it's a bridge that opens and closes to let boats through. I'm sure that's the area we were in. Or was it here? One of these two anyway. I think it was this one. That was good. We were there watching it going up and down. Other than that, I'm going to leave it there for today because, well, I've done an hour and a half now, so I'm going to take a break. I'll be back maybe tomorrow. I'm going to have a busy day tomorrow. If I am going to be on tomorrow, it'll be very late, probably around 10 PM, who knows. So I'll leave it there. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. So take care.